I'm Randall Baxter. I'm the president of Asset Positioning Services, and I represent a software package called Family Estate Docs. And I have licensees all across the United States, and I've met with several last week in Baltimore. Hello, Mr. Taylor. And I met with some of my licensees. When they tell me the success they're having, I'm just amazed at it. And I wanted to be sure today that I talked about what that success was and where it was coming from. So let's just get started. So the topic today is how to control your income and make it grow using the estate planning process. And what I'm going to try to do here today is I'm just going to tell you what you need to know. You know, whether you implement it or not, that's up to you. I'll help you with implementation. But first of all, I'm just going to be telling you things that you need to know to implement estate planning, to add it to your product and service portfolio. And so let's look at the first step. And the first step is you have to commit to the process. And I've talked to several licensees this week, and what I realize is they're going too quick after the product sale. That's not a good thing. That's not even a smart thing to do. You should use the process, and if you do it correctly and do it verbatim the way I teach it, and let me just go ahead and tell you why I teach it the way I teach it. Okay, I teach it the way I teach it because it works. And that's all I'm going to say to you right now. You just have to have faith in the fact that I understand the process, the decision process, the communication process, the bonding process, the fact-finding process, the closing process, the PowerPoints. I've done it so often, I know what works. And if you change it, you're going to not make as much money as you could. So very first thing I want you to do right now, think about it. I want you to look at your calendar for a minute. I already know how much money I'm going to get paid in November and how much money I'm going to get paid in December and how much money I'm going to get paid in January. I already know that. I'm probably going to get paid more, but at least I know what the minimums are. And I don't care to tell you, those minimums are going to be somewhere between $50,000 and $60,000 a month using the process that I'm trying to teach you. And some of you may not think that's much, and some of you may think that's a lot, and some of you may think that it's not possible to do. But if you just look at your calendar today and go in and mark off the holidays, if you're not going to work on Thanksgiving Day, or if you're not going to work in Thanksgiving week, or if you're not going to work in Hanukkah or any of the other religious holidays and Christmas and New Year's Day, if you're not going to work, mark them off and figure out how many working days you have over the next 90 days. I'm thinking in 90 days, you got to subtract 26 of those days if you don't work on weekends. That takes you down to 64 days. And then you probably are going to take a week off during the holidays, maybe 3 or 4 days off during Thanksgiving. So it's going to take you down to about 50 working days. And then you got to decide what is it you're going to do during those 50 working days. And during those 50 working days, here's what I'm finding out. A lot of people do things that I call non-income producing activities. And they think they're at work. They're not. You need to be doing income producing activities while you're at work. So, and if you want to pursue that thought, just write it down and schedule an appointment with me. Let's talk about income producing activities versus non-income producing activities. But right now, I'm thinking over the next 90 days, most of us have about 50 working days. And then you got to ask yourself the next question: are you part-time or full-time? And it's okay if you're either one. And I've got a gentleman in Omaha right now. I really, really have high hopes for him. He's starting out part-time. And sometimes you have a conflict when you're at part-time, because some people might think that you're the best plumber in town, but deep down in your heart you want to be an estate planner, but you haven't crossed that bridge completely yet. And you just, it's okay. So although this gentleman that I'm talking to is not a plumber, what we talked about is, if you're talking to your clients about plumbing, it's okay to say, hey, you might benefit from a conversation with me about your estate plan. Let me show you what I have done with mine. And that way, it doesn't matter if you're a part-timer or not. You're offering an experience that you have performed on yourself. I hope that makes sense. It's okay to be part-time. You can be a part-time estate planner if you're an insurance agent. You can be a part-time estate planner if you're a stockbroker. You can be a part-time estate planner if you're working behind a soda fountain or selling newspapers on the corner. Everybody starts where they are. That's all you have to be aware of, is just start where you are and know that you're going to talk to people that are going to benefit from the conversation with you. So we have to decide, what's your true purpose for money. And it doesn't matter to me if you want to make $50,000 a month or if you want to make an extra $3,000 a month. I will still teach you to meet the goals that you have for yourself. I'll encourage you to make them bigger each month, but if you just want to make your monthly expenses, at least you need to know what they are. One of the reasons I got into estate planning to add to my product and service portfolio, because my monthly expenses were as high as a kite. And I needed to find a way to pay those bills and still have some money left over at the end of the month. So I had to start figuring out a way to write a little bigger ticket. And I realized that estate planning was the ticket. So how do you pay your bills? Do you know when your income is going to come in? Is your cash flow comfortable? I'll tell you, the worst months I have is the months when I know that I don't have the set income that I want to pay my bills. That means I'm either going to have to dip into my savings account, which means I have a gap. And I don't care to tell you, Christmas Eve 2020, I was so sick with COVID that I was afraid that I was about to have a cliff. So, I've lived it. I understand it. So I just want to ask you, are you in control of the income process? And is your income this month determined by last month's sales? In our business with the software, we get paid on the 10th. And if you say, hey, I need $5,200 in November or December, we can't hardly do it in November if you haven't already done it. Today's the last day you can get paid on something on November 10th. If you need to have $5,200 on December 10th, all you have to do is sell 4 estate plans at the retail price. And that's something I want to talk to you about. Some of you folks are still discounting your prices. You don't need to do that. Yes, it encourages people to buy with a lower price, but that's not why you're in business. You need to think about, what are you selling? What's the value? And the two things that people will buy in an estate planning from you, one is they will buy the lifetime license to never have another legal expense, and to be able to learn to change their estate plans on their own when they have relationship changes and asset changes and health changes. That's, there's value there. For $1,900, an attorney might charge you $39.95 for setting up the estate plan, but you walk in there 6 months later and want to make a change, you know what's going to happen? They're going to charge you some more. Your license that you represent, that client does not have to pay for it again. And if you're smart, you'll help them get it done. So how many $1,300 deposits would satisfy your goal? I think my answer to that is 1.5 a day. But over time, I'll teach you how to build momentum. And some guy who's going to have a hard time doing 3 push-ups this month, if they go through the momentum building series and listen and learn, before the month's over, he's doing 90 or 100 push-ups. And it's not as hard as when you're trying to do your first 3. But you got to get your systems built. You got to look at the situation you're in. And y'all have heard me talk about it before. There's no Chinese proverb. State the answer, then ask the questions how to get there. And it's so easy to break down. If you need $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month, and you want 10 days off in the month, you got 20 days left to work, you got to make $1,000 a day. Well, that means that if you want to use this software, you have to have the momentum going to where you're selling 1 trust a day. If you want to sell 1 trust a day, all you need is 3 appointments. If you want to make $20,000 a month or $250,000 a year and not even funding the estate plans you're selling, then have 3 appointments a day and go out and sell 1 of them. Sell 1 a day, but you won't make $20,000 a month if you sell 1 a day. You'll probably make $50,000, $60,000, because you'll be funding them correctly. But not if you don't see yourself as being able to do that. So when, the topic today is, what are other agents doing that's making them so much money in the estate planning world? Well, I think they're looking at their calendars. And so I just want to ask you the question: are you planning this week's income or next month's income? And it's okay to be doing either one. I'll be honest with you. When I was in Baltimore working with Mike Bemis, he and I worked on me planning my next year's income. Okay. We set a goal, probably somewhere between $500,000 and $700,000 if I stay healthy and work a decent amount of time. Okay. My numbers aren't your numbers. All I want you to do, first of all, in the first 90 days is I want you to double your income. I don't care if it's $500 or $5,000. I want you to double your income in 90 days. And I want us to state the answer and then ask the questions how to get there. So if you're making $1,000 a week, $4,000 a month, that's $48,000 a year. Let's get you to $96,000 in the next 90 days. Let's get you to that rate. If you're making $48,000, I don't even want to talk to you about trying to make $700,000 or $800,000, because you can't do it. The mindset's not there. But you can double your income every 90 days, and you can even do it quicker if you do a 90-day plan and adjust it every 30 days. And all you got to do is ask yourself what went right and what went wrong. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And we've already had a whole class on the advantages of a 90-day plan. And if you're going to recruit agents or train agents or develop an agency, if you don't have all the people that are under you own a 90-day plan and have them as part of your 90-day plan, you're never going to build your momentum. Momentum, momentum. When I first heard that word, I lit up like a light bulb. That's why I put this light bulb on here. You know, momentum for a sprinter on a 100-yard dash or a 220-yard dash, he's got to get momentum, just bam. But if you're building a career, it's like running a marathon, and you build your momentum slowly, and you get it to where you're in such good shape with your momentum that it doesn't hurt you to keep a good pace going. It doesn't stress you out. And we've got licensees right now that are building momentum just overnight, and changing their lives overnight using this process, the family tree asset positioning go-to first interview. And when I try to stress the point, why review it every 30 days? First thing I want to, and some of the licensees are meeting with me on the 90-day plan right now. Some of you aren't, but a lot of you are. A lot of you don't think you need to. A lot of you don't want to. You say you want to make a lot of money, but you really don't. You're really comfortable where you are, and it's okay too. But my question for you after 30 days, if you do a 90-day plan, is I'm going to look at you and say, did you stick to the plan? And then I'm going to ask you, what worked? What did not work? What factors hindered the plan? What factors made it successful? Mike Stranko the other day up in Baltimore, he was talking to me, and he wasn't talking. I felt like he was talking to me. He wasn't. He was talking about 50 of us, but I thought he was talking to me. And he looked out there in the crowd and he said, "You know what I love?" And I didn't say what, but I thought what. And he said, "I love a money day." He said, "You give me 3 or 4 closing interviews in a given day. If I sell the first one, I know I'm going to sell them all because my psyche's up, my mindset's right. And if I move $300,000 in the first sale, I'm probably going to move another $1 million before the day's over." But you got to get yourself in that spot. And if you're not in that spot today, you can't be in that spot tomorrow. You have to set your sights and you have to build it, and you have to have a mentor or two who will hold you accountable and will talk to you and say, this is what you did wrong. This is what you did right. Some of you are talking yourselves right out of the sale. A good sale for an estate plan ought to take somewhere between 45 and 55 minutes. So if you're spending 2 or 3 or 4 hours, you're probably getting in the weeds, and you're probably talking yourself right out of the sale. If you'll follow that agenda and get used to doing it, you'll come out of the gate running, and in 45 or 50 minutes, you'll have mom and dad talking to each other, and you look at them and you'll be able to say, "Hey, you've done a pretty good job with your assets. Don't you think we need to get your paperwork in order?" And that's just about the way I say it. Well, you ought to say it too if you want it to work. So let me ask you this question. How does a planned approach strategy create momentum? Well, you can use massive action. Let me give you a hint. If you've got any clients at all, let's say 10 or 15 or 500, it doesn't matter how many clients you have. If you go to your website, your Family Estate Docs website, and click on video and facts, and go over to the client video, and go down to, and those are the most professional videos I've ever seen. They're so much better than mine because I'm kind of loose and wild on it sometimes. But the videos that are done for you through Family Estate Docs are so professional. If you click on that one video, The Coming Storm, If you just watch that video and then go to your email list and to 100 of your people in your list, or 50 or 10 or 5 or 1 or 800,000, and send them the link to the coming storm, and tell them that you thought that they might be interested in this very short video because it talks about a topic that you think they would benefit from if they talked about it. And you do that massive action of that one video and follow up on it, you're going to be so busy in the next month that you're going to double your income. That's a planned approach. But that planned approach has to be day one, send the video. I have written 4 follow-up emails for that video for those of you who are interested, but don't just say you want it. Prove to me that you're going to use it, and I'll send it to you. But I don't want to waste my time on just people say, hey, I want that, and then they don't do anything with it. But I just want you to ask, change this question. How does a planned approach strategy create momentum? Change that question to, how do I plan an approach strategy to create momentum for my business, for my family, for my lifestyle? And how do I do it efficiently? And you don't have to spend a lot of money on it. I just told you how to do it for free, except for a little time. Some of you don't like me to harp on it, but if you're not following the cycle of success, it's like you're in the land of Oz, not walking on the yellow brick road. And even if you get to a point where the road goes in 4 directions, ask the scarecrow. What's the scarecrow saying? He looks at you and he goes, some people go both ways. Just stay on the road. Are you using personal observations to identify suspects who would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan? My successful licensees are. My unsuccessful licensees aren't. Which are you? Which one are you doing? And my definition of a successful licensee is someone whose life is slowly changing and they can feel the momentum growing. And they're talking to me about something other than getting started. Some people have been talking to me about getting started for 6 or 8 months. If you really want to get started, tomorrow's November 1. Get started. Have a plan. Look at your calendar. Next question is, are you working your existing clients by introducing the estate planning concept into your annual reviews? Well, down here in the South, we say, well, you ought to. I don't know if you understand that, but ought means oughta or ought to, but I understand ought to. You ought to do it. Are you working your existing clients by introducing the estate planning concept into your annual reviews? When you draw that family tree, you're going to look at that family tree and you're going to see all these suspects surrounding that little circle the size of a quarter. We're going to talk about that here in a minute too. So just keep that on your mind. So just let me ask you this. Do you have a list of people you think would benefit from conversations with you about their current estate plan? I know you've heard it before. I don't ever change my drum beat. I don't ever change my tune. When I get up in the morning, I don't change my policy. I get up and act just like you. Hey, I need to grow my business. And where do I get my suspects? I wish I could call all the people that I have suspects, that I think are suspects. But sometimes it's family, sometimes it's friends, sometimes it's clients, sometimes it's referrals, sometimes it's personal observations. most of the time it's by looking at the family tree illustrations. I can pull any file out of my drawer and flip over to the inside front cover of the folder where the family tree is and talk to somebody about their family, and they think I've got the best memory in the world. Ah. So right now there's 92 days in the fourth quarter. We've talked about that. There's still 92 days in November and December and January. And we've talked about going in, and it includes 13 weekends. It's got a Halloween in it. It's got a Jewish holiday or two. It's got some Christian holidays. It's got Thanksgiving, New Year's, and any special days. Bowl games, whatever, basketball games. I love basketball. I don't want to work on those days. That means that I have to take the remaining days and divide it into the income that I want for February, because I'm okay for November, December, January, but I probably need to hump a little bit to be sure I have my February income, unless I want to dip into savings, which I don't want to do. I want to live off income, not savings. Savings are for savings. Savings are not for income. Unless you get sick, unless you have a gap or a cliff, and hopefully it's temporary, not permanent. But remember what I said to you a few minutes ago? The old Chinese proverb. And successful licensees know what the answer is. They know what they need to do to be successful and to make money. And if you state the answer, then ask the questions how to get there. Here's an example. Let's say you want $10,000 income in November and $15,000 in December. Approximately 15 family estate docs on the front end sale would net you $15,000 in December without ever selling an insurance product. But I'll tell you what, if you had 15 family estate doc sales, even if you're the worst salesman in the world, you're probably going to make 5 back-end sales worth somewhere between $5,000 and $20,000 each. So you're not going to make $15,000. You're going to make either 40 or 75,000. But that's only if you can see yourself being able to accept that mindset. That number's off in that olive green. I must have been asleep. One federal state doc sale and one back-end sale should have you at an annual income of $125,000 in October. October's gone. That's annual. That's not monthly. But if you want to make $200,000 or $250,000 a year, it's easy. If you can allow yourself to see yourself earning that much money and then following that yellow brick road to where you're making a couple of federal family estate doc sales and make one back-end sale per month. Figure that out, because the average back-end sale is a $200,000 or $240,000 income annuity sale to close a $1,000 gap on somebody who's about to retire. And so you're going to make about $16,000 when you do that. And you might have to sell 2 or 3 estate plans to get there to find that person. So if you sell 2 or 3 estate plans and close one $1,000 a month income gap properly funded, you're going to be making $250,000 a year. But let me tell you how you're not going to make it. You're not going to make it talking to people that don't have any money. You're not going to make it talking to people that that don't like you. And you're not going to be making it if you're talking to people that you feel like you have to force to make a decision. If you will use the presentation the way I wrote it for you, and if you will do it correctly and watch mom and dad start talking to each other, and if you're smart enough to shut your mouth and lean back in chair and listen to them talk, they will turn around to you and say, "Can you help us do this today?" I hope you're smart enough to say yes. So what's the first step? And again, the successful licensees have taken the first step already. And you know, that first step is they learn to hunt. There's a video on that at randallbaxter.com. If you go into, I learned a new word. I've been calling it FTAP, but somebody taught me a new word. It's called FTAP. Go to FTAP training and watch that video on Let Me Teach You How to Hunt. But, you know, you have to learn who buys estate plans and who has the money to properly fund their estate plans. If you can't learn who buys them and you can't put yourself in front of people who can properly fund their estate plans, you haven't learned to hunt. Those people are 55 years or older most of the time. Now, somebody asked me the other day, what about my younger clients? Well, you're going to switch products. If you're talking to somebody 30 to 40 years old, you're probably going to be selling them either universal life or huge term policies and disability plans. And that's okay. But the money's not as big. And what my advice is, if you're talking to those 30 to 40-year-old people, draw their family tree and call on their parents. Homeowners need a good estate plan. People who are soon to retire are thinking about it. People in relationship changes need to redo their estate plans. And people who are having asset changes and health changes need to make sure their estate plans are in order. And we're going to get to your chat questions here in a minute. I'm on a roll. I'll talk to you about those things here in a minute. But the first step is you got to learn how to hunt. And if you don't want to learn how to hunt, why are you here? If you already know how to hunt, you're already making money. And I could start calling names and right now and start telling you about people that have already made over $500,000 doing this year. Now, they're not making $500,000 selling estate plans. They're making $500,000 using the estate planning process to get themselves to the back end sale. And you know, if there's any gold in what I'm trying to teach you, it's use the front end sale to get to the back end sale. And I can tell you a little secret. That's what I do. So who succeeds in our space? Well, Medicare agents who have middle-class clients. That one's supposed to be an exclamation point. I don't know why it's a one. Medicare agents who have middle-class clients. Folks, if you're over here trying to get people to zero premium plans and they don't have any money and they're in a trailer park and are living in the basement somewhere renting, you know, that your income's going to reflect that. And all I want to say to you is come on out. Learn what I want to show you and come on out of there. Property and casualty agents who have a client base. If you're selling house insurance, every one of take massive action and approach and send them the coming storm video, and they will be calling you. Life licensed agents. If you're out trying to sell somebody enough insurance to pay for their burial and they're half dead already, you might not make a lot of money selling estate plans because they don't have any money. But draw their family tree anyway and see where it takes you. It might lead you out of there. It might be like a flashlight in a dark cave. You tax planners and tax filers, my gosh, think about the potential. I don't know what you make doing tax plans and tax filers. I don't know if it's $200 or $800. I don't know. But every one of them trusts you, and every one of them will talk to you about their estate plan if you ask. Every one of them. They're not going to say, no, I don't need to talk to you about that. They're going to say, what do you know that I don't know? And we have a lot of investment advisors that are licensees. And those people are natural for estate plans. And then maybe you don't have an insurance license. Maybe you're an entrepreneur. Maybe you want to say, hey, I can sell these things without my insurance license. I'd say that's great. But if you know an insurance agent, they'd probably love to do your back end sales for you. And the other people, though, that succeed in our space are people who have an income goal and need momentum. There's that word again. That word ought to light you up like a light bulb. So how do you build momentum for the fourth quarter? Again, you got to look at your calendar. Week 1, approach 10 people who think you would benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. If you do that to 10 people, even if only 3 or 4 of them say yes, that means that the next week you've got 3 or 4 people that's 6 or 8 hours now that you have to work that you didn't have to work in week 1, because you got to go in and do the appointment now. But after you sell the estate plan, if you still approach 10 more people the next week, now you don't have a 6 or 8 hour week. You've got a 12 or 20 hour week, because you've got to do first appointments, second appointments, and approach 10 people. You know, if you have a license, or if you want a license with Family Estate Docs, I would ask you to tell me what you want your November, what is your November income projection? Is it $8,000? That's the answer. Let's ask the questions how to get there. If I said I needed $8,000, I might look at it and go, well, I'm going to trick Randy. I want $8,000 in income, and I've already got $4,500 in renewals. That means I only have to do $3,500. That's okay with me. If you want $8,000 income using your base that you already got, then let's use the math formula. How do you make $3,500 with Family Estate Docs? The answer is 3 estate plans, 3 go-to first interviews if you're good. I don't do 100% on my go-to first interviews. I wish I did. I probably do 80, 82, 83, 84%. But that's because I follow the track, and I follow the agenda, and I follow the process, and I capitalize on my personal observations for people that I think would benefit from a conversation with me about their current estate plan. So in November, you can be doing a 40-hour week in estate planning by the first week in December if you want to, if you just look at your calendar. Plus, you have the opportunity to close 2 or 3 income sales at $5,000 to $20,000 in commissions each. Wouldn't that be fun for Christmas? So, all I'm saying to you is, by continuing this slow momentum, what can you expect? And this is what you can expect. 10 new suspects from the FTAP go-to interview, 4-second interviews to establish the diagnosis and apply the prescription. What's that mean? 4 4 to 6 second interviews to establish the diagnosis and apply the prescription. Well, that means that I've gone in and I've talked to people about their family tree and the problems that they have. That's part of the diagnosis. I've talked to them about their understanding of the estate plan. I do it in reverse. That's I'll learn part of the diagnosis right there, because they're going to talk to me about who they would want, who they wouldn't want to fill those roles. I'm going to talk to them about where their real estate is, what state they own that real estate in, whether they might have to go to probate court in 3 or 4 different states if they have property in 3 or 4 different states. And when that happens, you begin to get conditioned and habits begin to form and momentum starts to build. Income and confidence begins to soar. There's supposed to be a K in the lie there. To soar like a high-flying seagull. If you've read my book, Approach, Plan, Succeed, you read about Jonathan Livingston Seagull. If you haven't, read the book. So my question for you is, why redo the 90-day plan every 30 days? It allows you to make adjustments in your strategy and to correct mistakes, errors, or lapses in judgment. I trained an agent in New York Life. I couldn't make any money. I just kept asking him, you dress nice, you look like you're in a 3-piece suit, you look really good, you look like a New York Life agent. Why are you not making any money? I found out he had a girlfriend down there in the parking lot. And he was just pretending to go to work. You shouldn't pretend to go to work if you need to make some money. But, why redo the 90-day plan every 30 days? It's because it allows you to measure the quality of your suspect selection and your prospect development. If you can't be analytical, you can't build momentum. Why redo the 90-day plan every 30 days? Because it allows you to compensate for illness, lack of confidence, and to identify bad habits that limit your growth and success. If you look at your calendar and say, hey, I planned to work at that time, but I really played Pac-Man the whole time. Why redo the 90-day plan every 30 days? Because it allows you to identify hangups that limit your growth. That's the analysis that you need to go through if you want to start building momentum. Most of my really, really successful agents, they don't have to do that. They've already fixed that mindset. They know when they're doing income producing activities, and they know when they're doing non-income producing activities. They know the difference, and they have the discipline to fix it. A lot of people don't have the discipline to fix it. Why incorporate the cycle of success? Because it identifies your weakness. When I help an agent or a licensee, the first thing I want to do is teach them to develop suspects. And once I teach them to develop suspects, if they're not converting them to prospects, I quit working on developing suspects. They don't need help there anymore. Now it's time to help them develop convert those suspects into prospects. And to do that, we might have to improve your approach techniques. Might have to improve, to be honest with you, just by talking to you, I can tell you what the area is that we need to improve. And you have to be honest enough with me to identify. Okay. Sometimes to identify where sales techniques need improving, again, if it's taking you 3 or 4 hours to close a sale, you're probably talking yourself out of one. But, after I get you to do suspects and prospects and get you in the sales presentation and get you making sales and doing the back end sales, then I'm going to try to teach you how to identify the value of the advocate process, because that's where you don't have to spend any money for marketing. And then I want you to have a model to follow that is successful. That's why I call it the cycle of success. And we take that cycle of success and we stick it into your 90-day calendar, and we throw out the weekends and the holidays, and we apply the process into the leftover days, and do the math formula and figure out how many appointments do you have to double your income. That's all I want to do, is double your income in the first 90 days. I run into some people are afraid of that. They're afraid you're going to be successful. Oh my God, if I'm successful, I have to work. I hope that's not you. I don't want it to be you. So do you want to earn $250,000 in 2024? I don't, because I'd probably go bankrupt. What is the answer to 250,000? Well, I know it equals 7% of some number just in commissions if you're selling income annuities. That's 7%. So it's just a simple fifth grade math problem. $250,000 is 7% of $3,571,428.57. That means, I'll be honest with you, I think I'm real close to doing that amount of money just at American Equity this year. That's not counting the other companies using my process that I'm trying to get you to follow. But that means that your monthly production needs to be $297,619.05. That's the $300,000 in annuity sales in any given month. That pretty soon, if you follow what I'm doing, you could be doing that a week. So if the average gap is $1,000 or $12,000 a year, one sale for a 65-year-old retiree to close the gap is they take $240,000 out of their 401k and they give it to the company that you help them pick. And then you get paid 7%. Why not create the opportunity to solve for the gap? The biggest problem I had when I first started trying to learn how to do the income sales, I couldn't figure out how to get into a situation where I had the appointment. And then one day the light bulb came on. I can build my momentum into the income sale by getting people to purchase an estate plan that has to be funded, where the income analysis is required to have a properly funded estate plan. Now I don't have to ask them anymore. I tell them it's the next step. I don't ask them if they want to talk about it. I say, hey, the next step now is the income analysis. Are you ready? Yeah. Because they want to know what it is. If you're out just telling them, hey, let me sell you an income plan, you're just a salesman. You're just like everybody else. An estate planner is distinctive. That's the advantage. Be distinctive. So the easiest solution is to $250,000 a year. And if you folks that are wanting to build a downline, you want to build an agency, why do you want a bunch of people that are barely going to make $25,000 a year? What good is that? If you approach 10 quality suspects, get 7 appointments in any month for suspects, the easiest thing in the world is a personal observation of somebody that you think would benefit from a conversation with you about estate planning. Get 7 appointments in any month. Make 3 sales using family estate days, which is I call the front end sale. Make 1 funding sale of an income for life, closing a $1,000 gap. I know that's corny. It's easy peasy, unless you have bad habits that you're unable to break. And that's I'll be honest with you, that's common. It's prevalent. Or you might have FUD. But if you want to make $250,000 a year, make 3 sales using your family estate docs on the front end. That's $3,900. That's $4,000 in 12 months. That's $50,000 of that $250,000 you need to make. That's easy. And then you only have to sell 1 of those 3, and that means you have to be good enough to be picking people to talk to that can afford to close that gap. 7% of $240,000 is about $16,000 a year. $16,000 a year plus 4,000. If I add 3 estate plans, that's about $20,000 a year. 20 times 12 is $250,000. I'm not going to ask you to raise your hand if that would change your life, but I hope it would. But then the first thing I'm going to ask you to do is let's figure out a way to double it. Because once you make $250,000, you're going to see it's not that much harder to double it. Unless you have FUD. We talked about FUD before. FUD is fear, uncertainty, and doubt. We'll talk about that some more in a minute. But let's talk about the reasons for failure. And some of you don't even see it as failure, and that's okay too. Some of you are so happy struggling every day. Not many of you, because most people, the strugglers drop out. And I'll be honest with you, there's a lot of strugglers that when they drop out, I'm glad they're gone, because they burn up my time and they bring me down because they can't see themselves being successful. And they're happy making it from month to month with their nose just barely out of water. They're happy. Well, I don't want you to be happy there, but I can't force you to not be happy there. But sometimes it's just people have bad habits. You can break a bad habit if you follow the 90-day plan in the cycle of success. It takes about 90 days of active management to get rid of some of the bad habits. Some people don't even believe it can happen. That's why I keep telling you, do the math, do the math. See how easy it is to get to $250,000 a year. The other people are afraid. I think the favorite thing I say to licensees these days is, you're ready. You're ready to go. What's stopping you? You're ready. And if you don't have a market, get a job. Don't tell me you don't have a market. Look around. Look at all the people. Let's talk about the reasons for success for a minute. I don't think I would be doing as well as I do if I didn't emulate somebody else's process. I emulate the income for life process. The only thing I did to it is I made sure that I had the opportunity to make that presentation, and I had to commit to the strategy. Well, you can't commit to a strategy if you don't have it written down. That's what the 90-day plan is all about. You have to know your numbers. You have to have confidence that people will benefit from a conversation with you about their current estate plan. You have to use the agenda. You have to follow the confidential. And you have to know the logic behind the process and the power phrases. I didn't learn it overnight. I can do it blindfolded now. I've done it so many times, and that's the way you get good at it. You have to do it. You have to be bad at it a couple of times before you realize what you did that was wrong. So why not just make this the best 90 days of your whole career? Why not do that? It might not be the highest income of your life. It won't be. If you do this, it will not be. It might be the highest income that you've ever had, but it will not be the highest income that you're going to have. But it's going to be the time when you set the stage for a career of success. And you have to set that stage. You can't run on 6 cylinders if you have an 8-cylinder car. It doesn't do you any good. I can make you a promise. It's called a primary promise. My primary promise is, I promise you that the income will flow. It will come in whatever amount you want if you take control. And my primary promise is I can show you how to add estate planning to your products and your service portfolio. And then I'll turn around and give you 2 things that are so important. And I call those unique mechanisms. I'll make you the primary promise that your income will go up. You make the primary promise to your client that they're going to benefit from a conversation with you about estate planning. The unique mechanism that separates you from everybody else are two things: your Family Estate Doc software program and your Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To first interview. Those are two of the most unique things you can control and learn to implement that the average product salesman out there has no idea how effective and how valuable those two things are. If it was back in the Middle Ages and I was going into battle and I had my Family Estate Docs in my left arm and my Family Tree Asset Positioning Go-To first interview in my right arm, I would be so well armed that I would be undefeatable in battle. Because I put myself in the sweet spot. I don't look like a dang-do insurance salesman. And I'm doing something different than everybody else is doing. But that, my friend, is up to you. I'll train you and coach you. Don't ask me to coach you if you're not trained. I wish I had time. Take the training program. Use the training program. I took the time, and it took me a week to write that training program. And I had to have Lisa and Linda fix it for me because I'm not the neatest writer in the world. I just knew what I wanted to get done. I had to have help. But now it's there. It's there for you to use. I can only teach you what I know, and I can only teach you what I do. And I think there was a gentleman on here earlier, I hope he's still here, but he asked me what I did for a living, and I said, I teach what I do. Nothing more, nothing less. This is how you make it happen. This is what successful agents in the estate planning world who work under my coaching, this is what they do. And if you look at that and say, I don't want to do this, well, look at your income, see if you're happy with it. And if you're happy with it, I'm fine. The rest is up to you. Because I can't be there with you. I can't kick you out of bed. I can't get you to stop talking when it's time to start writing business. I can't. If you want to have an interview that takes 3 or 4 hours instead of 45 minutes, and then you not get to sell and have to go back a second time, I can't fix that. I can just show you what to do so that you don't get in that position anymore. So, Lisa, if you can help me, I'll take some questions right now. If everybody wants to ask any questions, I didn't mean to take the whole hour, but I'll hang around and answer some questions. Looks like we have some chat questions.
Yes. If anyone has any questions, do you want to raise a hand?
Well, somebody says, Randy mentioned a video, not the name of this training. What is the name of the video? He said he will send. I'm going to say that The Coming Storm.
It was The Coming Storm.
Mike, if there's something else in there, remind me. But you've got that video. It's on your website, your Family Estate Docs website, under Client Videos, The Coming Storm. If you haven't watched it, watch it. Then make sure your suspects get a copy of it. Santiago, I see you're here. I'm welcoming you here. You've got thousands of clients. If you've got their emails, send them the video, The Coming Storm. You'll be swamped with phone calls. They'll be begging you to come talk to them. Send them that video.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay. Now the other thing is the other one was Let Me Show You How to Hunt. That's on the Randall Baxter. You just go in there and go to FTAP training. Type in FTAP courses, FTAP capitalized, FTAP, small letters courses, no space. And in the left-hand column, about almost all the way down, there's a video there that's let me teach you how to hunt. Some of the people that I know are right now on this video right now, you don't need to know how to hunt. Santiago, you're one of them. I met you on a boat out in San Diego. You don't need to learn how to hunt. You need to learn how to implement. Implement massive action. And there's a video on massive action on the FTAP training. Go down there at the bottom left-hand corner, go all the way down to massive action and punch that button and watch that video. Everything that you need to learn is almost already on randallbaxter.com. Not everything, but a lot of it. Any other questions? Hey, if you haven't sold anything in 60 days, schedule an appointment with me and let's talk about it. I'll have you sell something in 30 days. But if you realize that you haven't sold something in 60 days, that tells me that you know what you're doing wrong. Let's fix it. Anything else out there? It's Halloween, folks. I got to go out there and take electric. Yeah, I got to take an extension cord out by the driveway and set up a table and throw a bowl of candy out there and watch all the kids walk by. Last year, this little 2-year-old kid walked up to me and walked up to the table and looked at me, and he had this cute little outfit on, and I said, "What are you?" And this little girl, and she looked up at me and she said, "I'm a chicken," and she was. She had feathers, and, So, and then we had a Tyrannosaurus Rex walk by. But all I want you to do is to be able to isolate what's not working. That's the first thing we want to work on. We got to take what's not working and get rid of it. But if you're already making $500,000 a year or more than that, I'll be honest with you. I was with when I went to that meeting in Baltimore, and when I realized that it was my licensees and my students that were getting up in front and talking to people about their success, it made me very, very proud, to be honest with you. I'm not responsible for their success, but all I know is that a lot of them are looking at me and going, if you had not shown me these easy steps, I wouldn't be knocking it out of the park the way I'm knocking it out of the park. I didn't teach them to knock it out of the park. They already had that mindset. All I did was show them a missing link that makes the connection between the front end sale and the back end sale. Let that sink in over the holiday here or tonight. When you wake up in the morning, have a different mindset if you need it. I'm not saying you need it. I'm saying that you might want it, and I had to make the assumption that you're here because you want to learn. And I'll be honest with you, I've got a canceled check for every mistake I've ever made in this business, and I'll try to prevent you from making those mistakes if you'll let me. Anything else before I go? I'm right here. Ask now. Go to randallbaxter.com, go up in the upper right-hand corner, make an appointment, take the training. Let me help. That's all I got to say. So,
yep.
Anybody else want to say anything?
Well, Randy, I have an appointment tomorrow and 2 on Saturday.
Okay.
So I will let you know how they went.
No. Tell me how successful they were.
Okay.
You are in control of how they go.
Okay.
Use your
Thank
agenda.
You.
Do not let that mindset go that way. You are in control, and they want to talk to you, and you have the skills to lead them through this process.
Okay.
That's what they expect.
Okay.
Do it, girl.
All right.
I do want to hear what you did. I just want,
the success of it. Yes.
Because see, you've already gotten past the suspect. Now you're into the prospect and the presentation. Okay.
Yes.
So do continue doing what's working on the suspect stage, and now start working on the presentation.
Okay.
And then pretty soon you're going to be working on ways to not have to pay so much taxes.
I understand. You know, you were in my stomping ground in Baltimore, right?
I was.
That's my home.
Well, that's a big town.
You have a lot of agents up there?
Uh, I have a lot of licensees.
Licensees, I mean,
I have developing licensees up there, but I was in Baltimore on a training. I was going to school.
oh, okay.
See, I have mentors, and they teach me issues that I have problems with. I have problems too in this industry, and I'm always looking for somebody that can help me with my problem. Most of the time, it's product development. You know, I mean, it's different, but I have to have a mentor just like you do.
And
'Cause
that's
I don't think,
encouraging to know, you know,
well,
and I appreciate you sharing it with us.
well, um, all I got to say is a fellow will make a few, and I make a few myself. So uh, I'm always looking for someone who can take what I am doing and show me how to do it better.
I know what a
That's
question I did have for you.
okay.
So if somebody, you know, on the website signs up for um to get their estate done, we don't have to have the paper copies of things, or do we? We still
Say
need
that
to have them
again.
sign things?
Say that again. Ask me your
Like, okay,
question.
so on my website, if they, you know, sign up for uh uh their estate plan,
Mhm.
do we need to have the paper copies of the EULA and all that with us
No,
to
no,
sign?
no,
Okay.
no, no. But they need to understand what they're buying.
Okay.
Okay. Because that's a big closing thing, and that's how you eliminate FUD. They won't wake up the next morning and regret it.
Okay. So they buying a lifetime license.
That's right.
And that's
For
huge.
it is
Yes.
huge. It's
For life.
valuable.
Yeah.
It's a super buy.
Yes.
Randy, can I ask for clarification on that topic?
Yes, Tony, what's up?
Uh, Basically, if someone you end up using like a 7-day trial and they actually click they buy it, then do you recommend then that we go in and print it and put it in a binder and deliver a binder? Or, basically, if someone buys as a result of having done the go-to first interview and then they've done a 7-day trial, what process do you recommend?
Oh, I recommend treating it like it's time for a Godiva delivery with a back-end sales presentation to talk about the funding. You know, do everything you can to be of service to those people. If they buy on the free look, you know, they don't know what to do after they buy it. And if you step in and show them what to do and offer to, you know, I don't even offer. I say, well, I need to bring this out to you.
Okay, so
Or I need
if
to.
once they buy, then I can see that they've bought and I'm able to go in and print it off and put it in a binder to deliver.
Yep.
Okay.
And you know, if, at $19.95, if you're going to spend $75 for a good delivery, that's a pretty cheap appointment.
Yes.
Exactly. That, and I held the price. So,
Yeah.
assuming that I'm assuming he's going to buy. Come on.
Well, use your sales presentation to make people want it.
Mm-hmm.
Make people want it. They, you know, and you're getting there, Tony. You're getting there. We're working on your presentation. We a couple weeks ago we were working on getting you to identify a suspect and a prospect, and here you are in interviews.
Right. Well, I need to schedule a time and do a new 90-day plan because obviously we've started a new month. So
okay. Oh, well, everybody here ought to be starting a new 90-day plan because October's gone.
That's true.
So now we're planning for November, December, and January. Okay. In December, we'll throw November out and we'll plan for December, January, and February. And then we'll throw December out and we'll plan for January, February, March. And we'll make adjustments. And some of us are going to get the flu. Some of us are going to go to the Super Bowl. Some of us are going to go to football games that we didn't know our colleges were going to get to go to. There's going to be all kinds of things that subtract from our working days. And I want everybody to remember what we talked about earlier in this interview. Know the difference between income producing activities and non-income producing activities. And some of us are very, very good at non-income producing activities. But you know what that does? It doesn't produce any income. That makes your children skinny. Ha ha. Okay. Anything else?
Just hi, Lisa.
Hi, Cynthia. How are you?
Great. We'll talk.
Okay.
All
I
right.
hope your
All
calls
right.
go well.
Listen, I'm glad you're all here. I'm glad you all stayed. I hope you saw what other people are doing. It's a mindset. It's a math problem. It's a 5th grade math problem. All you got to do is state the answer, then ask the questions how to get there and watch your income go up. And I hope you all have a happy Halloween. I'm out of here. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Happy Halloween.